It should be live now.
Okay, 1 second. Takes a while for me to receive the notification. 14 seconds ago. Okay, so this should be it.
It doesn't have the
Okay.
100-day challenge title because I just didn't bother with
I
changing it
understand.
again. I'll change it afterwards, inshallah.
Khlas, it's clear, it's better now.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
So, assalamualaikum everybody. I'll just send
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry everyone that it was such a hassle to try to join. I'm not great with the technology. So when I scheduled the live, but then I didn't know how to activate it once I scheduled it.
Alright, so we're now on. Let's now proceed to, let me just get to the channel and make sure that I'm having all the chats in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh everybody. We are now a third into the challenge.
Yeah, mashallah, it's going by
1
quickly.
month has gone by very fast.
So we're on day 31, right?
Day 31, and we have completed 2 videos over the past 10 days or so. We started with,
OCGFC,
Islamic,
right?
No, OCGFC series is over.
I know, but we started with that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So we did. We began with the we began with the OCGFC series. That was 7 videos, and then we proceeded to talk about explore the videos on political independence, and so we began with Islamic realpolitik, and then we moved on to the next video, the second video, which is a mouthful, so I can't remember.
Epistemological sovereignty?
It's in that theme. So from Islamic realpolitik to epistemological sovereignty. So we covered over the 10 days, and mashallah, the participants were very actively contributing.
I mean, subhanallah, I said in the chat, just the prompts by themselves, mashallah, the prompts are fantastic. The prompts, by themselves, the prompts are an education. It really summarizes everything. Leaves me with nothing to say. Really, it's mashallah, the prompts are so good, and then the work that the people are doing.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Yeah, Allahu Akbar. Especially on Twitter, I see it mostly. But then also there's Brother Yusuf who keeps making videos which are excellent.
Exactly.
If you're not following him, I don't know offhand what his, if you're on TikTok, I don't know offhand what his
handle is.
His handle is, his user, his account name.
Sister Nisa can help us.
Because Brother Yusuf is making, mashallah, very nice videos on TikTok.
Yeah. We need to get our...
and Brother Mohamed has now also a YouTube channel.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, all
and then
of y'all.
Mashallah, assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for joining. Again, I apologize for the awkwardness of being able to find the right link.
I recognize Dr. X Large from TikTok.
Oh, mashallah, Dr. X.
Dr. X is here.
Dr. X Large.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. We see your videos a lot too. Please.
Yeah, mashallah. He does very good work, and he's in terms of spreading the messages and sharing the videos, mashallah.
Okay, I don't see any of our admins, but okay, so we will line up the different creators' accounts in the next round.
Yeah, we need to. Actually, you know what we should do? We should. Okay, this is live, but then it's going to be, the recording of it will be available. Or anyway, I'll do an edit probably.
Yes.
To edit out whatever is unnecessary.
Yes.
And then upload the edited version, and then maybe in the description box, we can put the accounts of everybody who's been participating. If we forgive us if we miss anyone, we'll do our best to include everyone, because there's mashallah some really good work.
Contributions, really.
Brother Naif.
And just the expression of the prompts, you know, and the way they extract information from the prompts and in their own thoughts, you know, it's really, really remarkable work.
I mean, this whole thing, the whole challenge, and with the prompts, all of this is part of what we're talking about now, which is the epistemological sovereignty. We're setting our own terms for how we engage with topics, how we engage with issues, how we engage with our own societies and with other societies. Defining our own sources and structures of knowledge. rather than outsourcing that to the West and assuming or taking upon ourselves their frameworks, their understanding, their sources of knowledge, their definitions of knowledge, and so on. This whole challenge is a part of that, because everyone who's participating in this is taking the prompts
Yes.
and then developing their own way of saying or explaining,
Conveying, yeah.
their own way of conveying, their own way of explaining these ideas, which is redefining and reclaiming our own epistemology, our own definitions, our own ways of framing, our own frameworks.
In other words, we are building our own, we are equipping our viewers in developing their own tools of expression with this challenge.
Not just expression, understanding.
Understanding.
Much more important, our own
absolutely.
way of understanding.
Yeah.
According to our own epistemology, our own sources of knowledge.
Yeah.
The way that we
As
identify
Muslims.
as Muslims, the way that we identify and know what the truth is, and then apply that in our understanding of the world.
Indeed.
Because without this, there's no, I mean, the three core objectives of Middle Nation is, as everyone should know by now, economic sovereignty, political independence, and the decolonization, psychological decolonization of the Muslim world and Muslims in general, and the global South more broadly. And really, all of this, each one of those three relies upon epistemological sovereignty. Without epistemological sovereignty, your mind is going to remain colonized, and your economy is going to remain colonized, and your politics are going to remain colonized. Because you've already colonized your mind if you are outsourcing your own understanding of the world and your own sources of truth, your own sources of knowledge. You're outsourcing all of that to the West, and you're adopting their frameworks, their definitions, their understanding, their terminology, their philosophy, their ideology, and all of that. Even if you change the language, even if you're putting it in Bahasa Malayu, or you're putting it in Swahili, or you're putting it in Arabic, or you're putting it in Turkish, it's the same ideas. It's Western ideas. And you have to understand that they put all of their ideas together to serve themselves. They put their philosophies together to serve themselves, and the way they defined everything is based upon, or grew out of, it originated from their kufr. And their kufr is what has determined their framework for understanding the world and approaching the world. So if we adopt their mentality and we adopt their frameworks, then we are inadvertently adopting a kufr-influenced approach to the world, a kufr-influenced paradigm, no matter how Muslim we are, no matter how Islamic we are, no matter even how much iman we have. If our mentality is firmly rooted in Western terminology, Western frameworks, then we are going to misunderstand the world, and we will be subject to the colonizers permanently.
Exactly.
Even if we become, like for example, people talk about the and I talk about how Westerners are basically going extinct. Europeans are basically going extinct. It's not as much the case in America, but the French are going extinct, the Germans are going extinct, the English are going extinct, and this is making them all very paranoid. And we, understandably, they're an endangered species. And we talk about how Muslims are going to take over these places because we keep having babies, and not to mention also migration. But we are productive in terms of having children, and so it's not inconceivable that at a point in the relatively near to mid future, for example, Muslims will be a majority in France, or Muslims will be a very large minority across Europe. But what difference will that make? Practically, obviously it makes a difference. La ilaha illallah makes all the difference in the world in terms of your iman, but in terms of structures and the way the society is run, and the way the economy is run, and the way it interacts with the rest of the world, you might still have a French mindset. You'll still have a German mindset. You'll still have an English mindset. You'll still have a Western mindset, which is kufr based.
So it's important for you to break it down for yourself in how to untangle yourself from this, confusion.
Yeah.
And so with the intention of doing that for viewers, so again, I've mentioned this before, instead of being passive consumers of the content, we would like for you to participate in
Exactly.
the challenge in order for you to be able to, again, internalize the content, and also by doing so, you'll be able to be equipped with the tools necessary for you to actually convey the messages.
One of the things that I've noticed in the discussion group, and again, for anyone who is watching, who is not part of the Telegram discussion, I would invite you to please join us on Telegram. I'm participating there daily or almost daily. And there's many really great minds who are participating in that discussion. But one of the things that I've noticed very often, people will ask a question to me specifically, or sometimes just a general question to whoever is there, but they'll ask a question about some political issue or some policy that's taking place, or some current affairs or some news event, and ask why, Brother Shahid, why do you think this is happening, or why do you think the West is doing thus and so, or why do you think Israel is doing this and that and the other? And very often I will answer them by saying, well, what do you think? Because you probably already know the answer. And very often they do. Very often they will answer that question by explaining why they think it is. And they are, alhamdulillah, informed by having followed the channel and having participated in the discussion for weeks or months or years. And very often their answer is absolutely spot on. So don't just, because obviously we encourage people to ask questions.
Yeah.
But you also might already know the answer, and you should have confidence in the knowledge that you have gained. That you are that you even understand it better when you force yourself to try to explain it to someone. That means that you strengthen your own grasp of the thing that you understand. You strengthen your grasp of what you already understand by articulating it to others, by explaining it to others. That's what I said in I think one of the very first lives that we did during the challenge, which is that one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it.
Like Brother Madzhar is saying, I have learned a lot from this 100-day challenge. I treat each day and topic like a masterclass in the way I divide the topic and find evidences and references for each point and write small bites of information applicable for a tweet. It's like having a masterclass and a master's degree with Professor Shahid as the mentor.
Allahu Akbar, alhamdulillah.
I enjoyed the support.
Brother, you have to forgive us because we are struggling with how to pronounce your name. Because my wife insists on saying it's Madzhar, even though the Z comes after the DH. But it's an odd spelling for a name, so we're saying it wrong. I would appreciate if you can be maybe in the ASEAN regions group or in one of the other groups, actually say the name for us.
Madzhar. Madzhar. So he's spelled.
But that sounds like Madzhar.
Madzhar.
But anyway,
Okay.
he's a great brother, mashallah. He's doing fantastic work. I really apologize for the. Write it in Arabic. Can you write it in Arabic? It would be easier. We would understand it. It'd be easier to understand it.
Okay, so let me just go through the prompts over the last 10 days. We began with day 22, Islamic realpolitik, and we started by defining what is Islamic realpolitik, and then we contrasted it with the secular understanding of realpolitik. Okay, so in secular realpolitik, it is put forth that decisions are often presented, as non-ideological. When in fact secular realpolitik does involve ideology, often prioritizing profit.
Correct.
And market control and economic growth, even though it is often perceived as amoral or without ideology. So because it's...
Amorality is an ideology.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already an ideological position that you can remove morality from policy. That's already an ideological position. So you are serving an ideology, but you want to pretend
it's objective and
because and see, this is the thing, is that, and this is another reason why we have to work on our own epistemology, because it's part of the deceitful and dishonest epistemology of the West that morality is subjective, and so that's a judgment that you're making already. That's a shaitanic judgment that you're making, in fact, that morality is subjective, and therefore morality should be removed from all practical discussions. Okay, you're taking a moral position by taking an amoral position, which is to pretend that morality is subjective and therefore not practical and shouldn't factor in to policy making.
Yeah.
This is a philosophical epistemological position that you're taking that's based on a lie, that's based on a deceit. It's based on dishonesty, a shaitanic belief that morality is relative, which is the same thing as saying that it's subjective.
Exactly.
It's relative. It's one person says this is good, another person says this is good, another person says it's bad, another person says it's bad. But you know, you have reasons. This is the thing: is that in the West they have reasons for why they are this way. They have reasons, practical reasons for why they are this way. They have historical reasons for why they are this way. But we are not this way.
Yeah.
We cannot be this way. That's fundamentally contradictory to who we are as a people, as a nation.
So what this day one of the day 22 in this case has done for viewers is to dismantle completely that they're coming from a neutral position, that they do not come from an ideological position. That is not true at all, and that's clarified for listeners. And then we went on day 23 to now emphasize what the prophetic examples of Islamic realpolitik is.
There's so many. I can't even count them really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go, we were talking about this because we're also doing simultaneous to all of this an ongoing. We have a book discussion club for Middle Nation, and roughly every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, depending on the availability of the people, we have a space on X where we talk about. We're going through the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the book by Mohamed Ali Mohamed As-Saldabi, which it has its flaws, but it's a good sort of starter book for dealing with the seerah. But we go through this every week or every couple of weeks on spaces, and we were going through the most recent one was the period of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which is a marvelous example of realpolitik. But when you go through the seerah, I really believe that the seerah needs to be almost put on the same level as Quran and Sunnah in terms of as a source of guidance. As a source of guidance, it is absolutely you can't do without it. You can't do without learning the seerah, because because in the seerah, in the story of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the lifetime of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the early days of Islam, you find all the archetypes. You find all the archetypes of kuffar. You find archetypes among class. You find archetypes obviously among the Muslims, all the different types of people who made up the Sahaba, and all of the different situations that they faced, all the different types of resistance that they faced, all of the different tactics that they faced, the different strategies of kuffar, and then the different strategies and tactics that the Muslims used to face those challenges. And this just keeps getting repeated. Like, look at what they just did with the Palestinian representatives who are going to come to the UN, and the United States barred them from coming. They canceled their visas, so not allowing them to come to the United Nations. Well, this is very similar. I mean, it's not an exact parallel, but tactically, it's the same as the Quraysh not allowing the Muslims to make Umrah to Mecca, because you are trusted. The United States, you're trusted with the UN headquarters. You have been entrusted with that to prove to the world that you're supposed to be an objective, non-biased, impartial actor, that everyone is going to be safe to come to the United Nations. Everyone will be allowed to participate in the international processes. You have been entrusted with that duty as the custodian of the United Nations, in the same way that Quraysh was entrusted with the custodianship of the Kaaba. That you are going to allow anyone and everyone to come and worship at the Kaaba. And then you refused to allow the Muslims to come. When they did that, they completely lost their credibility. when they refused to allow the Muslims to come and make Umrah, they already lost. That was already the defeat of Quraysh. And Rasulullah ﷺ knew it. When they refused to allow them to come, now you have discredited yourself, you have delegitimized yourself to such an extent that you don't even deserve to be the custodians of the Kaaba anymore. Because you are now politicizing who you will allow and who you will not allow to come. Exactly what the United States is doing with the United Nations and the Palestinians.
And the whole world is watching.
And the whole world is watching, and you've lost. I mean, not that you haven't already lost credibility to us, but to everyone else. You are. It's like you're on a mission to delegitimize yourself, which is exactly what they are, in my opinion. They are on a mission to delegitimize themselves. They are on a mission to discredit themselves as an international actor, because they are no longer a global superpower, and they're trying to withdraw from the rest of the world. But the point is that the seerah is so informative that you really should refer to the seerah. I'm not making some kind of a fatwa that it's on the same level as Quran and Sunnah, but the Sunnah takes place within the context of the seerah. Learning the Sunnah takes place within the context of the seerah, the timeline of the seerah, and you will not fail to learn from the experiences of the early Muslims in their confrontation with the kuffar.
Exactly. I mean, in the case of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, we raised that example in this prompt to highlight how there were initial disadvantages in the treaty and how that eventually led to a period of peace, allowing Islam to spread and strengthen and paving a way for the eventual conquest of Makkah.
Right. Because like I say, and this is why I started talking about it. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. Because of realpolitik. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah is a marvelous example of realpolitik in so many ways. Like, for example, what I just said. Rasulullah ﷺ recognized Quraysh has already lost. By their own actions. By their own actions, they have lost because they have delegitimized themselves and they have discredited themselves. And they have made themselves unworthy of the position that is the only thing that really gave them any status. That gave them special status.
Exactly.
And now they've lost it. By their own actions, they've lost it. So Rasulullah ﷺ agreed to the treaty almost as a mercy to them, that he knew that over the course of that year, because they said very weakly, you can come next year.
Yes.
This is so pathetic. I mean, I remember even when I read it the very first time, when I read the seerah the very first time when I was still a new Muslim, and I read that was what the Quraysh did. Okay, you can't come this year, but you can come next year. It was like so pouty and so, it was so pathetic. You really lost your status. And Rasulullah ﷺ knew you've lost your status. And between now and the time that we come back again, we will be nothing but more powerful, and you will have done nothing but erode.
You've pretty much, lost your grip.
But these are his people.
On reality.
These are his people. The Quraysh are his people. The people of Makkah are his people. It's his town. It's his city. It's his homeland. His hometown. So he has mercy towards them. And so it's no harm for us to let it go.
Okay.
It's no harm for us to let it go a year.
Yeah.
And then we will not conquer you. We will absorb you. By the time we come back, we will just absorb you. And this again is very similar to what's going on right now with Palestine. And with so-called Israel. Because that's what's happening. They're being surrounded and they will be absorbed.
Exactly. I mean, okay.
This is what I mean again. I'm sorry to interrupt. This is what I mean again. By the lessons that you can learn from the seerah. Because it just keeps happening. The same sorts of patterns keep happening. And so many the lifetime of Rasulullah ﷺ and the seerah is endlessly informative for you. I don't think that you can really be even a very good first of all, you can't be a good geopolitical analyst unless you're a Muslim. Period. You cannot properly understand geopolitics and cannot properly analyze what's going on in the world unless you're a Muslim and you're informed by Quran and Sunnah. And second of all, even if you are a Muslim who is informed by Quran and Sunnah, if you are not familiar with the seerah, there will still be some flaws in your analysis.
moving on from day 23, I'm just going according to the prompt. I know we've talked about this part of the prompt quite a lot over the course of the week, actually. The parable of the babies.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've said it more than once on the channel. I've told this
exactly
this parable.
Parable of the babies. If you're not familiar with it, please head on to the main discussion channel and look at the prompts for details, or go back to the video, Islamic realpolitik, for elaboration on the parable of the babies. So that was also a very excellent contribution.
I mean, I'll repeat it just for the sake of anyone who hasn't heard it.
Okay.
Just very briefly, very briefly, the parable of the babies is that a man sees a baby floating down the river, and the baby is obviously going to drown. Then he sees another baby, and another, and another, and another. So he rushes into the river like any normal person would. He rushes into the river and starts trying to save the babies. Mm-hmm. But there's too many. Then he sees another man on the shore of the river, or the riverbank, and he shouts to that man, "Please come help me save these babies." And the man starts to walk away. And so the man in the river starts to shout at the man on the riverbank, "Where are you going? You have to help me save these babies." And the man responds, "That's what I am doing. I'm going to where the babies are being put in the river. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try and solve the problem at the source of the problem." Now, both of those men are doing something helpful. They're doing something useful. They're trying to solve the problem. Both of them are. The one who's in the river is doing the immediate thing, but he will inevitably fail to save. He will save some babies, but he will lose many. Many will die as a result of the strategy that he is using. The other one is ultimately going to solve the problem completely. But while he's doing that, babies will drown.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, the reality of the problem is ongoing, mm-hmm. and so it's a judgment call. Which one do you think is ultimately the most useful?
Yeah, based on your capacity and the strata from
right.
the society you're from, also.
Right.
Okay, we have a question from.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is what I want to say about that. I don't criticize anyone who is taking the position of getting in the river to save the babies. I don't criticize anyone who does that. It's a human moral thing to do, but don't criticize the one who's going down, who's going upstream to try to solve the problem, because he's not taking your approach. This is where I have a problem. If you're going to get in the river and try to save one baby at a time, by being a so-called activist, for example, by doing relief work, what have you, all of this is noble work, but don't now denigrate when someone else is taking a different approach that is ultimately going to solve the problem once and for all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so someone called James Space, he's got a question. Which specific sectors, nodes of power are most important for targeted disruption today, and how should movements prioritize these areas within?
It's too general of a question.
Okay.
I appreciate the question, and I understand why you're asking, but it's, I think, too general of a question, because it would have to be, depending on where you are, depending on obviously what you're trying to target, what in terms of results. What the issue is, I assume you're probably talking about Palestine, but it will depend on what capabilities you have built up in terms of your ability to disrupt, what outcome you're looking for, and so forth. I mean, this is the if you take a realpolitik approach to activism, it becomes much more complex than I think the general approach to activism, which is a sort of a expressive protest, as I've talked about before, expressive protest. And again, I don't belittle or minimize the effectiveness of any of these approaches, or a general disruptive approach, like, for example, say what we're seeing in Indonesia right now, which is a general disruptive approach, not particularly targeted, although they are targeting I think the police and the parliament and specific politicians and so forth. But if you want to take a very tactical, strategic approach, then you have to do a lot of evaluations. where you are geographically, what's within your reach, and what tools you have available to yourself to legally participate in this sort of thing.
Okay, he's asking again, I'm just seeing your question, James, the broader corporate state apparatus.
Okay, well, I mean, okay, if you're talking about the broader corporate state apparatus, then obviously what you need to do is actually building sufficiency. That you can't do anything. Anything that you do is going to be temporary, and will ultimately just make it harder for yourself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're going to make it hard. Yeah. Ultimately, you'll make it harder for yourself until you're able to break the dependency of yourself and your community, your family, your community, from the corporate state. You have to build sufficiency, and I think there's a series of lectures, the sufficiency lectures, where I talk about that, and there's different ideas that are discussed in several videos about building sufficiency and extricating yourself from that system.
Okay, sorry, Madzhar has a question. I have a question and an observation concerning the story of Khidr and Musa alayhi salam. Khidr had knowledge from Allah, and that justifies his action. And it was inferred that he was expecting husn from Musa by inferring that Musa wouldn't be patient. My observation is, if it is expected to have husn for Khidr, who had divine knowledge, oops, I lost the question, sorry. What then what more of our leaders who don't have wahi, who only rely on the information available to them and their limited capacity? Is this observation correct?
Well, first, I don't know to what I think Khidr knew that he could not really expect husn because he knew that his actions would be inexplicable to Nabi Musa alayhi salam. So I don't know to what extent he was expecting it. He was almost saying preemptively, I know you're not going to be able to give me that. But try to remain patient. And I think that applies now. I think that same thing applies now. I think it's a good observation that our leaders obviously have more information than the people on the ground have. Even have more information than knowledgeable geopolitical, economic, political analysts have. They have.
They have intimate.
They have intel. Yeah. They have confidential intelligence, and they know about long-term planning, and they know everything that's going on in the back channels. They know everything that goes on in the back rooms. They know everything that goes on diplomatically. We only know what is released to the public. We only can know that.
By virtue of the strata that they're from.
Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, it's the obligation of anyone with any intelligence to recognize the limits of our own knowledge, the limits of our own information. And like I've said before, you can see what a leader is doing, what a government is doing, what a state is doing, and try to figure out how what they are doing can have a positive outcome. What is a plausible, not idealistic, not unrealistic, but a plausible, positive outcome to the actions that they are taking. And very often, this isn't hard to figure out, because very often they tell you, this is why we're doing what we're doing. But even if they don't tell you this is why we're doing what we're doing, you can try to figure that out yourself and see what's a plausible, positive outcome for why they're doing it. And then the husn al-dhan comes in, where you say that's probably why they're doing it. It's probably not because they're evil. It's probably not because I have all the information, and therefore based on all of the information that I have, the thing that they're doing has no justification. It's incredibly simplistic to make these kinds of, to pretend that the leaders of the Muslim world, the leaders of the Muslim countries, the leader of any country, but especially in the Muslim world, to believe that the leaders of the Muslim countries are just evil, or that they are just happy being subordinate, that they're happy being subjugated. No one wants that, especially if you're a leader, especially if you are a prominent person, especially if you're a king, you're a prince, you're a king, you're an emir, you're a sultan. You don't want to be subordinate to anyone. If you just like everyone understands the truism that power wants to have power. Power wants to consolidate power. Power wants to spread their power and influence.
Yeah.
They want to grow stronger. Nobody wants to grow weaker.
Yeah.
No one wants to be under someone else. No one wants to be humiliated. So you should put that out of the scenario. You should put that out of the equation when you're trying to understand why a leader is doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Which then, from the parable of the babies, we are now moving on to the next prompt on day 25, leadership qualities and challenges in Islamic realpolitik. And we brought about the example of Abu Dhar and how Abu Dhar's narrative serves as a reminder that effective leadership, especially within an Islamic realpolitik framework, requires a robust understanding of practical realities and strategic action. And while immediate moral action might feel right, it can have immoral consequences or lead to greater harm in the long run. Leaders must then be able to make, distasteful or seemingly contradictory decisions in the short term if they are necessary. If they are necessary in order to achieve long-term moral outcomes. This is just to continue on from the parable of babies to illustrate with the example of Abu Dhar. If you're not familiar with Abu Dhar, please once again go ahead.
Right, because Abu Dhar, radiallahu anh, was an incredibly brave, strong, courageous, fearless individual. Yet, when he asked Rasulullah ﷺ to appoint him to a position of authority, Rasulullah ﷺ denied him that and told him it was because he was weak. And as I talked about in that video or that podcast about realpolitik, weakness is not a term that you would generally associate with Abu Dhar.
Yep.
Because he was incredibly forthright and he wasn't scared of anybody. But his weakness was his inability to compromise, his inability to hold his tongue, his inability to discern when it was good to be to speak out and good to be silent, and good to sort of trust in what the Muslim leadership was doing, and to not just, as you said, get the sort of instant moral gratification. That sometimes you have to have patience, and I think his weakness was maybe in a lack of patience.
Once again, if you're joining the live for the first time, and if you're not familiar with the content of this particular video, just look up Islamic realpolitik on the Middle Nation channel,
Yeah.
and you'll be directed to the video in discussion. Now, continuing on to the same video, Islamic realpolitik, we now decided to explore further on the broader implications for the Ummah and countering the misinformation that's spreading among us about the Islamic leadership. Now, Islamic leadership is viewed as an amana from Allah, implying profound responsibility and accountability on the Day of Judgment. Allah sees both the good and the bad deeds, and the ultimate judgment considers the full context, including the necessity of actions for long-term welfare. So it is crucial for us to counter narratives that portray Muslim and Arab governments as sellouts for engaging with Western or Zionist powers. Such criticisms often ignore geopolitical complexities and immense international pressures these leaders face. And Zionist propaganda aims to deepen divisions within Muslim communities by exaggerating or even distorting, these motives of these governments. So this is very, very crucial for us to understand. And as you were talking about, in order to consolidate their own power and their own security, in order to pursue, positive actions, positive outcomes, there are certain actions that they have to take.
Yeah, and what bothers me about this, and what I find very hypocritical about this, is that everyone understands this in their own life. Everyone understands this on a personal, individual level because you do it. You do the same thing on your job. How many times have you held your tongue on your job? How many compromises have you made on your job because you have to take care of your family, you have to pay your bills? So you're able to grit your teeth and deal with people on the job who you can't stand, deal with people who are backstabbers, be nice to them, be nice to your boss who's a terrible person, be nice to your colleagues, some of whom are terrible people, and hold your tongue because you have to take care of your own. You have to take care of your family. You have to pay your bills. You don't want to lose your job, and so on. You all do that. Everyone does that. And like I've talked about before, in terms of, like, for example, blaming the Arab leaders for quote-unquote not doing enough for Palestine. This is why I always bring it back to what have you done for Palestine? Because the fact of the matter is every single one of us could have done more than we have done. But we are all limited by our actual commitment and our willingness to face the consequences of certain actions. And that's called being a rational, mature, wise person. You are not in a position to throw yourself into destruction for the sake of a moral cause, because that's in and of itself an immoral action, in my opinion. Because if you are a moral actor and you are in pursuit of moral outcomes, and then you destroy yourself, then you are removing from the battlefield someone who is acting morally, or someone who is pursuing moral outcomes. So taking an impractical approach, taking an unrealistic, idealistic, self-destructive approach to pursue moral outcomes is itself an immoral action. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tells us to not throw ourselves into destruction.
Mm-hmm. You should listen to that again when the recording is posted. This is a very important section, essential for us to...
And so my point is, everyone does it. Everyone does it in their own life. But you impose idealistic standards, idealistic demands upon people who have immensely more responsibility than you ever will. Immensely more accountability, immensely more people who are dependent upon them making the right decisions than you ever will. But you want them to behave negligently. You want them to behave haphazardly. You want them to behave rashly, whereas you won't even do it for the comparatively minor interests of being able to pay your rent, your personal rent, or being able to pay for school or medicine or what have you for your family. By comparison, it's incredibly minor. But you are wise not to make those sacrifices. You're wise not to throw all of that away. But when the leaders do things that are tactically serving long-term solutions, long-term resolutions to the Palestinian issue, it's dissatisfying to you because you want them to do what you won't do on the job, which is, throw the copy machine out the window and break your computer and shout at everybody and tell everybody what you think of them, which you're looking forward to doing on your last day of work. But you want them to do that now. You want them to all act rashly now, even though millions of people are depending upon them not doing that. Millions of people are depending upon them making rational, long-term decisions. And I'll just say another thing, even though it's not necessarily related to epistemological sovereignty, although it also kind of is. I will be accused of of defending the Arab rulers or defending the Muslim rulers. Yes, guilty as charged. I defend them because they're part of our people, and I defend our people. I defend the Muslims, and they are from the Muslims. I'm defending the Ummah against our enemies, and that includes the leaders of the Muslims. Why do you think that it should apply to everyone except for our leaders? Why do you think that everyone's honor should be defended? Why, when Rasulullah ﷺ told us that the reputation and the honor of a Muslim is sacred, that applies to everyone except for a head of state. While you're saying things about the Muslim rulers, that if you lived under Sharia, if you lived in the time of Rasulullah ﷺ or the Sahaba or the Khulafa Rashidin, and you said it about any Muslim on the street, you'd be lashed for the slanders that people are saying. But you think somehow the fact that these people have status and they have responsibility and they have power, that means that they are ineligible for being defended, for having their honor defended and their reputation defended. That the rules against slander don't apply to the rulers. Well, you're mistaken. They're from us, and we defend ourselves. And if you're someone who will attack them, especially if you're living over there in the West, you don't take this conflict seriously. You don't take seriously the conflict that we're in as an ummah. And you don't, as I've said many, many times, you're not clear on whose side you're on. And you're the last person that I would want standing next to me if I ever got into a fight. Because it means that you're not even reliable. You're not even someone who will defend your brothers.
Yeah.
Or you think that if someone has power, then suddenly they're no longer your brother. When you should be happy that you have brothers who have power.
Exactly. Now, we've completed the realpolitik segment of the video, and then we've moved on to the second video that was discussed over the past 10 days. So the second video was discussed from day 27 to day 31, and we began with, once again, let me just read out the title of the video, Why We Reject Western Thought, Metrics and Madness. So in the theme of epistemological sovereignty, but the title of the video is something else, being Why We Reject Western Thought, Metrics and Madness. So the prompt reads, a poison root grows a poison tree and bears poison fruit, regardless of pretty blossoms. So epistemological sovereignty requires us to de-link ourselves from Western paradigms and intellectual frameworks for understanding and interpreting reality. We have to use our own instead. And any framework created to justify atrocities like rape, pillage, and genocide cannot be useful to civilized people. A poison root grows a poison tree and bears poison fruit, regardless of pretty blossoms. Whatever the West built came at a human cost that their descendants will continue to pay. So that was the prompt, and then we moved on to the day 28 in discussing how we can reclaim our own understanding, the Islamic core and the role of the Muslims as witnesses. And here we talk about how the first step is in reviving epistemological sovereignty is to restore Allah and the Quran and the Sunnah in their rightful place at the center of our understanding, that Allah is real, and understanding this reality is the most fundamental aspect of comprehending the world.
Absolutely.
And from a Muslim perspective, the role is not primarily as analysts, but as witnesses, commissioned to tell the truth and state the facts. Muslims should observe how things operate in the real world and testify to that, regardless of Western labels. So this bearing witness to reality is the true form of analysis. So again, this is just the surface. Now we're going to elaborate that. We elaborated that further on day 29. Now, what is that? So on day 29, the prompt was Sunnatullah. And it is part of being the middle nation, as in Ummatul Wasatan, to develop our own tools for discerning reality, such as relative power dynamics that you've come up with, and then the strategic probabilities, understanding strategic probabilities, assessing the impact of events on the Muslim world, and measuring instability trends in the West. This is done without relying solely on Western political scientists or economists or geopolitical analysts. A lot of the Western metrics are irrelevant because crucial factors are entirely omitted from their analysis. So the undeniable factor of the Sunnah of Allah is the key missing element in Western analysis, which is the understanding that whatever incurs the wrath of Allah, that is not sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I just wanted to say, I keep seeing, for everyone who doesn't know yet, I have very terrible eyesight, and the screen is showing me comments coming up, but I can't read them at all.
Feedback.
So I only know what my wife tells me when a message comes up or when a comment comes up. But I'm seeing what looks like very long messages coming up. I just want to know if those are actual proper messages or it's spam.
Let me see. Independent Muslim, to your point, the most rational thing to do is call the Ummah back to Allah and His Messenger.
Okay.
It's just
Forgive me if I said I suspected it was spam, just because they're very, from my angle, they look like very long messages.
Right.
So it looked like someone was just pasting.
Okay. Here someone says temporary backup. Someone is saying that what if West is your homeland with all flaws and blemishes, and it's the only thing you know, and our tongue, our taste, the crass way we talk with each other are alien elsewhere. We are the freaks of dope show. I don't know what that means.
You're in a very difficult position. And I'm as I've talked about many times, I would encourage everyone, if you have the ability to leave the United States, do so. And if you're Muslim or non-Muslim, But if you're Muslim and you have a chance to go to a Muslim country, alhamdulillah, even if you have a chance to go to a non-Muslim country in the global south, it's still going to be better and more reasonable than where you are. Obviously, this is not attainable for most people to leave the country. So you have to leave mentally, psychologically, as much as you can, culturally, as much as you can. And part of this, again, goes back to claiming some degree of epistemological sovereignty, even for yourself as an individual. Saying that I'm not going to interact with people according to their expectations. I will operate according to my own standards of behavior. And I will speak according to my own standards of behavior, my own standards of excellence in speech, and so on. And with regards to, I just wanted to say, you were talking about, for example, the Middle Nation RPI, the Relative Power Index. It's a good opportunity to bring something up about that, because were it not for having a real grasp on relative power as it really exists, not the narrative that the West gives, you would not understand that, for example, America is no longer a global superpower. It is a regional power. It's a regional hegemon. If you're just following the narrative, if the narrative is your source of information about how the world works is based on Western narratives, then you wouldn't understand the reality that America has been downgraded as a power. And you wouldn't understand, for example, what's going on right now in Indonesia with the protests, because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the go-to assumption would be that the CIA has organized this, the NED has organized this, and they're going to overthrow the government. Color revolution and so on. But the relative power between, say, China and the United States vis-a-vis Indonesia, America has nothing.
Yeah.
America has nothing. So even if they are involved through, some people have claimed the George Soros funded organizations, but Allahu Alam, if this is true. Even if they are involved, it's an example of a bad habit that is dying hard, because you have nothing to gain. America can gain nothing by disruption. And I think that for myself, what I see is even more signs of American weakness and victory for the Muslims and for the global South, in that America has now been reduced from being a global bully to being a nuisance.
Yeah.
That's all you can do now, is just be annoying. You can just be an irritant now in most parts of the world.
Yeah. Just a fly that needs to be swatted.
Well, I mean, you can harass, you can annoy, you can be an irritant, but you cannot really gain anything from that.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a nuisance and a bully. A bully is getting something out of it. He can bully you into something. But America doesn't have that muscle anymore, at least not in this region, to bully anyone into anything.
Yeah.
You can annoy and you can irritate and you can be a nuisance, but you have nothing to gain from that.
Yeah. This is not a development that's recent, by the way. This has been it's been taking place over the past couple of decades, and it's now truly in fruition. You know, the China is never going to be out of the equation.
No, I mean, in all practical ways, the entire region of Southeast Asia is free, with the exception possibly of the Philippines. But Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, the region is Singapore is functionally free from domination. It's not free from connections and relationships and mutually beneficial relationships and so forth. But in terms of domination, it's free from America. Okay. And you're not going to get it back. And I think that this is why I sort of doubt, personally. I actually doubt that America is involved in what's happening in Indonesia. I doubt it. I think that normally what happens is there is a legitimate, I know this isn't the topic, but I'll just say something about it anyway. The normal timeline, the normal pattern, is for there to be a legitimate grievance, that the people get riled up over a legitimate grievance, the government cracks down on the protesters, and then the the intent or the intention behind the protest changes, and it reacts to the crackdown, and it has followed this pattern. And then, in reaction to the crackdown, they start just calling for the toppling of the government because they've suffered violence at the hand of the security forces, and so on. In this case, they had very specific grievances that were legitimate, and now the government has basically accommodated them in what they demanded, what they opposed, what they opposed, the government has repealed. And now everything should stop. In terms of protest, this should stop. If you have any sense in Indonesia, I think you should stop. And we'll have to watch very closely to see. Because otherwise, I think the government would be entirely justified in cracking down fully on anyone who insists to continue protesting after your demands have been met. Then that would be very suspicious, in my opinion. But my point is that in terms of the relative power index, this is part of what makes me doubt American involvement in what's happening in Indonesia, because you really have nothing to gain. So if they are involved in it, it's just a bad habit that they're having a hard time getting rid of, because it's a very short-term disruption that they can cause, and they can't gain anything by it. You're never going to get China out of Indonesia. You're never going to get Indonesia to sever their relationship with China. It's not going to happen. And I also don't think that the A National OCGFC even want that to happen.
I'd like to welcome the Indonesians who are participating in the live.
Welcome.
Please join the Telegram group.
Please join the Telegram group. We have a whole section in the Telegram group. We have multiple groups, Middle Nation groups. One of them is a regions group, where we have people from all different regions in the world. One of them is ASEAN. So if you can join the regions group and join the ASEAN group, then it can be a source of information and insight for all of us with regards to whatever region you're from. And if you're from Indonesia, you can let us know what's going on there.
Brother Maz is saying, hope to have some discussion regarding Southeast Asia in the future and the Philippines as far as OCGFC influence is concerned. If you're ready, Brother Maz, we can have a regions discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can have a regions recording with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And okay, so we're about 56 minutes in now. With
oh wow, that went fast.
321 people watching.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah.
And in days 29 and 30 and 31, we basically talked about the illusion of Israel's power and geopolitical realignments.
Another reason why you need the epistemological sovereignty, which is how, in this particular case, and this goes back again to the relative power index, defining what power is, what the power dynamics are, identifying the truth of what that is, in substance, not in narrative. Then you'll be able to recognize to what extent Israel does or does not have actual power, especially a diversity of power, which they do not have, especially relative to other powers. For example, the GCC, and especially to the A National OCGFC. They're completely insignificant in terms of power.
So let's see if we have any questions. There are 316 people watching, and as is always the case, we always have like the crowd joining in, like almost an hour into the.
Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
It's just exchanges of greetings only, so there's not.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.
Okay, so I've already gone through the prompts for the discussion, and we are beginning September with a brief theme. I'm sorry, there's a question here. Thoughts on Afghanistan? I believe it's AFG is Afghanistan. Cutting oil deal with China. Anything, do you know anything about this?
This is news to me.
Okay. If Shahid has any information, he would talk about it in the discussion group.
Yeah, I can talk about it, inshallah, in the discussion group. I will look into it.
Yeah, I will share the discussion.
I'm aware of other mining deals that they've made with China.
Okay. Let's see. So once again, I've shared the Telegram group link. So please join the Telegram group if you would like for further remarks from Shahid. He'll be there. I mean, he's not always there, but he's there frequently.
Even if I'm not apparently active, I go through the chat, and I'll try to respond to anything that is, especially if you tag me in it.
Yeah. And Jazakallah khair for everyone who joined us. Okay, so once again, I'll just briefly introduce you to the next series of videos. We will be covering the Kawamun series of the videos for the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, we will move on to political independence after that. So just stay tuned to the channel for the prompts and.
Don't speak over there. The mic is over
oh yeah,
here.
I'm sorry. I don't know why.
She's shouting into her laptop so that you can hear her.
Because I'm looking at the comments and anyway, I will be providing you with the prompts and details on the Telegram group. Please stay tuned. For all the participants who are here, please be prepared for another angle into the challenge over the next week, and we will probably go live after a week or so, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. So without further ado, I think we can and let me just look through the comments again.
Okay.
Somebody from Romania, Sorina, Nita. No one heard about you here, and no one cares about the Middle East. We are forced to believe Israel through media propaganda, but when I listen to people like you, I realize how wrong I was. Oh, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, now James again. He's got a question here.
Okay.
I've asked about disruption, and you said not to think about it until I've built independence. Maybe because you don't know me. I guess.
No, I don't know you.
Yeah. Where would someone with cybersecurity lens and connections in Pakistan contribute? Is there a benefit in being able to map vulnerabilities in digital information structures, or work with my Pakistanis to study which imports corporate tie-ins are detrimental? That's it.
Okay, and that's James?
Yeah, that's James. James Space.
Okay. This isn't a public discussion. This is not a topic for public discussion. When you're getting into very specific sorts of tactics, you're trying to get me in trouble now.
Yeah.
You know what to do.
Yeah.
You take the framework of system disruption, tactical system disruption, legal system disruption. You use your expertise. I've outlined the theory quite well, I think, quite clearly. And if you're going to try to sort of bait me into giving you ideas of how to disrupt the system, then you're just trying to get me in trouble. Respect me enough and protect me enough to not try to bring me into a conversation like that on a public forum. If you're in cybersecurity, you bloody well know that already. So use your own mind and pursue what you think is useful according to how you understand the power structure and how the power dynamics and the power relationships work, and what you can and cannot do legally to interfere with that.
Okay. We already crossed the hour.
Okay.
Anything else to add?
I mean, there's so much to say about epistemological sovereignty that needs to be said, that needs to be talked about, that needs to be explained. Inshallah, we will obviously be doing that on the channel in subsequent videos. But as you were reading the prompts, there were so many things that came into my mind, but then as you kept reading, I lost them. Or as you would read comments, I lost them, because there's...
I would like to also introduce the content talks that we are having to the listeners. So if you're here and if you're not already in the Middle Nation channel, please join the channel to also be directed to the content talks that we have. So we meet online again to discuss the content that's produced, and at present we are going through a particular video, and it's going to be gone over maybe 2 or 3 sessions. We've already had one session previously, and we are intending to do the next session in the following week. Yeah,
the last video that was posted is the content talk from Saturday, and that was on the white supremacy's blame game, and we were able to cover, I think, about half of the video in a roughly 2-hour discussion. And we'll continue, inshallah, next week or the week after. I'm not sure. It depends on the availability of the speakers.
Okay.
We'll continue to talk about, elaborate on and do a deep dive in those, the various matters related to that.
So, inshallah, can you speak more about analyzing geopolitics using Islamic framework? There's plenty of his videos that talks about this.
I have roughly 1,400 videos.
Yeah.
Where I do talk about geopolitics from an Islamic framework.
Yeah. Please, review the videos on the channel if you're not familiar.
I don't mean to be glib.
Yeah.
I respect the question, but in fact the thing is that the entire way that I approach geopolitics in all of my analyses is from an Islamic framework. What we need to do is now explain, I suppose, that framework. But part of that is what we're doing now with epistemological sovereignty, where we talk about, for example, being witnesses as opposed to being analysts, because we are so firmly rooted in what we understand, what we know to be the truth, that's the whole perspective that we are coming from. The whole vantage point that we're coming from is from the Islamic vantage point, because it is the true vantage point. Just trying to explain, for example, why the West behaves the way it does. This is important for us. This isn't really important for them when they do geopolitical analysis. Their geopolitical analysis of any particular country's behavior or any country's policies and what have you is always a very superficial way of looking at it. They don't look at, for example, their belief system, their moral system, and their civilizational trajectory, their civilizational origin, and so forth. Whereas that is integrated into and that is incorporated into our analyses of the West and any policies that the West enacts, or any policies that they take, any actions that they commit, or any actions that they will not commit, and so forth, and how they behave and how they manage their societies and so on. We are analyzing that from a belief versus disbelief perspective, because that's the only way that it can be understood. It's the only way that it can be understood. And in fact, the whole concept of objectivity, which is of course what a witness has to be. A witness has to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, without bias, without prejudice, without considering their own personal benefit or personal detriment. You have to tell the truth no matter what it is. And frankly speaking, the only way to be objective and the only way to tell the truth is to do it from an Islamic perspective, is to do it from the vantage point of Islam. The only way to do it is to be a Muslim. You simply are unequipped to do it if you're not a Muslim. You're unequipped.
Your lenses will be skewed all the time.
Right, because you have been taught that objectivity is something that it isn't, or you've been taught that something that is incredibly subjective is objective. Just like we were talking about earlier with realpolitik being non-ideological and amoral and pretending that that is not ideological. You've been taught that being amoral is to be objective because morality is subjective. Well, this is a lie. This is deceit. This is dishonesty that they have made you believe, to where now you're completely lost in your ability to actually be truthful, because you have been lied to from the beginning about the whole framework is false, and so you operate within an entirely false framework. So how can your analysis be accurate?
Yeah.
Because you imagine that you are unbiased when you are the most biased in your perspective.
Okay, so we're already 10 minutes past the hour.
Okay, we should close it, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. So we will again. I'll announce the prompt and the challenge later on in the Telegram group. Please stay tuned, and also the announcements for future lives, inshallah.
All right, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining. Jazakum Allahu khairan.
Assalamu
Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.